Good morning, everybody. I know it's early. So I wanted to come on because I had a viewer and he or she wrote that the feast days are not of God. The feast days were given by God out of his own mouth. God is a spirit. The feast days are in the Bible. So you have people that are still asleep, still are ignorant to the words of the Lord. So, I didn't get mad. I didn't get angry. I just want to, spread the gospel and inform you that the feast days are in the Bible. God said, these are my feast days and they should be celebrated in their season. God is the creator of life. So when he says something and when I hear it, I hearken my heart to it because I know it's true. There's nothing in the Bible that I think someone man put there. God brought it upon those who wrote the Bible, the words to write in the Bible. So when someone says that the feast days are not of God, they are of God. He's not going to say anything that is not going to come to pass. So the feast days are in remembrance of him. We celebrate those to remember what he did, what he came and died for the remission of our sins. So when someone says that the feast days are not of God, that's totally incorrect. You know what's not of God? The pagan holidays. That's not of God. Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, all the stuff that you celebrate, the world tells you to celebrate. The Sunday worship, that's not of God. That's not of him. But the feast days were made for us. So you're directly disrespecting the Messiah when you say the feast days are not of him. You have to study to show yourself approved. Study his word. Get into his word. It's so much going back and forth. Oh, this is not him. That's not him. But you don't really know him if you're speaking for him. God doesn't need to be spoke for. He left us with his words in the Bible. He left us with instructions. And we're disrespecting him when we don't do it. When we don't do the works of him, we're disrespecting him. When we're debating with other Hebrews because you were taught differently. I was taught differently. I went to a Baptist holiness church for years. I didn't believe in any of this until he opened my eyes. Until he calmed me and led me to it. So when you're consuming things you don't supposed to consume, oh yes, in the Bible, and where we go back to, our home, he does want us not to eat and consume meat. We're going to eat plants. And if you choose to be a vegan, if you choose not to consume meat, that's on you. But in the Bible, they consume meat, rich meat. They didn't consume pork. They consumed beef, deer, goat. Those are rich meats. That's meat that he created for us. The animals who eat clean. They eat a clean diet. They eat grass. That's clean. So the feast days to me mean everything because he wrote that for me and my brothers in Israel and all the other nations. We were not to go outside of the feast days. We were not to celebrate man-made holidays. And I have family members and friends that are still doing it. But why? Why are you doing it? Why haven't you researched? Why haven't you looked beyond what the world telling you to celebrate? Why haven't you picked up the Bible and tried to study and try to find out why am I doing this? Why am I celebrating days every year that they're instructing me to celebrate? You don't know the history of it. You don't know the history of anything. Just like with New Year's. New Year's, we don't celebrate that because that's not the new year. It starts off in Abib in spring when the seasons have changed. We're still in the same year. But in the world, they change, the years. And they're like, oh, it's a new year. To me, it's not. My new year starts March 24th, Abib. So when you say things and you come and, try to combat on my channel, make sure you're doing your research, because the things you're saying are not true. The feast days are for us. He took time to instruct us and leave his word so we would do things of him. He didn't have to do that because God is a being. He created his son to be a being, but he came and he was wounded for our sins. There was not a man on earth who could do what he did. There's not a man to stand and, who was unclean, who was sin free. So he could not die and be reborn because everybody was sinning on the earth. Jesus was sin free. He was a being. He had to come and be born as we were born, as a baby, grew into a man, and he had to die for our sins because he was sin free. He is perfect. God is perfect. We are not. We are not perfect. So when you're saying that God is not of God, you cannot speak from him. He doesn't need you to speak for him because God has already left instructions for us. So there's no need for you to come in combat a sister if the feast days are of God. They are of God. Every feast day. Pay attention what the world is, saying and doing, and look at what God. It doesn't reflect his word. So me as a person, as an individual that has changed and is learning every day and know God, I know that I'm not going against him. I know I'm not going to do the pagan worship, the pagan holidays. I'm not going to combat my sisters and brothers, even though we don't agree. But I'm not going to fuss about God's word because he has healed, he has restored me. And I'm going to do the works of him, not of this world. I'm not going to fuss and fight. I'm not going to have strife with my sister or brother, or, we all sisters and brothers. I'm not going to do that. So the young lady, the young man who said that feast days were not of God, I pray for you, and I pray that you understand that they are of God. They're his words. Like he physically wrote the 10 Commandments with his finger when Moses went up there for 40 days and 40 nights. He wrote it. And he wrote them twice. When the first time that Moses broke them coming down because Israel were so unlearned, was so impatient, they wanted Aaron to create a false god because they thought Moses ran away. But God is the Omega. He is the light. He is the way. And if you don't turn away from your wicked ways, if you don't start serving him the right way, in the last days, you're going to be in the lake of fire. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Do the works of me. This is not your world. This is his. The universe wouldn't be created if it wasn't for him. So when you get into spiritual and you don't believe this, you don't believe that, believe in him. Because he will direct your paths. He will bless you. He will do what he said he would do. You don't have to question him. You don't have to worry that God is going to betray you. He will never forsake you. He said that. He will love you in every way. He will heal you in every way. And when plagues come upon Israel and other nations, it's because you're not serving him right. We were not born to be sick. We were not put here to be confined to sickness. We were not here to hurt and kill and fornicate and be adulterous. You're supposed to love thy neighbor. You were not put here to steal and, try to come and take your neighbor's wife or husband. You were here to be a people of him. But we lost the way. Our forefathers disrespected. That's where slavery comes from. They were put in captivity because of that. It's not right to say that something is not of God because you're not him. You don't know. And the devil was an angel, and he was cast out of heaven because he wanted to be above God who created him. He was the brink of truth, Lucifer. That's his name. So you're so busy fearing God. Sorry, you're so busy fearing him, you're not fearing God. Because the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. You have to fear him. You have to do the works of him. You cannot sit here and debate with me when you don't know him. You don't know him. You don't follow his days. You don't do what he says. You don't do his commandments. You're committing sin. You're pointing the finger. But you have to look at you in the mirror. Because you cannot judge anyone. And I'm not mad. I'm just, open up the conversation. Like, the feast days are of God. It's sunny outside in my backyard. Beautiful day. I see my trees. Yeah, beautiful. Peaceful. Yeah, but I just had to come on and let you guys know, like, it's time to stop offending him. He is angry. He is hurt. And he's waking up who he wants, the righteous. The unjust, righteous, person, prayers are delight to him. But a unjust and a wicked, he despises. He doesn't answer your prayers because you're not serving him. So I never combat with anybody. I never fuss with anybody. My job is to spread the gospel now and to do it in a loving way and to love those who are unlearned, who don't understand. Pray. There's no need to fight with them. We are Hebrew Israelites. There are other nations that are outside of Israel. He loved Israel because, they were not the biggest of the nations. He loved Israel because he said that Israel was the apple of thy eye. And for the Lord to say that is major. That he loves us. And he would never, ever turn his back against us. So stop debating on what he said. Listen to his words. Listen to his scriptures. They tell you everything you need to know. So there's no need to go into other Bibles, other books, and try to combat what happened. What happened was written. Anything that's not in the Bible, it was meant not to be. Those are his words. He walked this earth. We know no other God but his son Jesus. God doesn't dealt with us, and he's not going to deal with us. We have an intercessor. It was Moses, now it's Jesus. He's a jealous God. He loves his people so much, but you don't love him. It says Jesus, the word was with him, and he was in the world, but the world knew him not. You didn't know him. You didn't know him. You treated him badly. You wounded him. You tried to break his bones, but that was not prophecy. So you have to get out of what you think, and it's all about me, me, me. No, it's all about God. You don't walk, you don't breathe without him. He put breath in Adam, and he became a living soul. So stop debating. Stop saying what's not right. You don't know because you're not God. And I pray for you and I love you. And I say this with love. And I say this with every bone in my body. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I am of God. And many won't understand. And you got to be okay with your family not understanding. You got to be okay with your friends not understanding. Because God didn't give them understanding. He didn't cover their eyes. He didn't take the scales off their eyes yet. But you are to stand in God. You have to stand for him because he took everything for us. He took everything for us. He didn't have to come here. It was a choice, and he wanted to. He understands what you're going through. He understands how hard it is to be in flesh. But we will not attack our brothers and sisters anymore. We will not fight and fuss about the Bible. We will be Hebrew Israelites. We will be the people of the book. We will do the works of him and not the world. And I'm healed and I'm restored and I'm loved. And I hope it finds you, this message finds you well in my words of my pastor. We are blessed. We are heir of God, a royal priesthood. We were supposed to be the head, not the tail, but through our ancestors' disrespect, it flipped. Gentiles doesn't owe you anything. You owe yourself to study, to show thyself approved to the Messiah, to God, the Omega. So I'm getting a tan out here, which I need. But I just wanted to come on and share that with you. And happy Sabbath. I am Queen Cleo. I am loved. I am of God. Peace. Shalom.